The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Leela Rhodes and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Netcom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are very excited to host today's webinar, Master the Power of AI with Microsoft Azure. Presenting today's topic is Yatharth Kapoor, and Yatharth has over 5 years of experience delivering a variety of trainings on Microsoft products, including Microsoft Azure, Office 365, SCVMM, Hyper-V, Windows Server, and Yatharth has been skilled and proficient on cloud computing platforms like Microsoft Azure Cloud, Google Cloud Platform, Office 365 Platform, and MS Exchange Server Management. Now, please bear in mind that this is just an overview of a very robust topic. We do offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored towards your specific requirements. So if you're interested in a further discussion about any of those, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at www.netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you will get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. Netcom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adopting change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We have 9 practice areas in which we specialize, and they encompass people, process, and technology training. Today's presentation is from the Data and AI practice area. Netcom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio for data and AI courses, and our upcoming classes include various trainings on AZ900, DP900, AI900, and many more. Private training to teams is also available, and those learning plans can be customized to the specific needs of that audience. You can also access a variety of data and AI marketing assets, such as the free 2-hour training, by clicking on the available webinar handout. And these offerings can be found with a simple search on our website at www.netcomlearning.com. In this webinar, you will explore the entire AI ecosystem and its various levels. The webinar will also cover the tech requirements for implementing an Azure AI solution, integrating AI and its applications in the organizations, and some valuable tips to make their transition easier and much more. Now, I'll just give you a quick overview of the logistics before we do get started today. To start with, you have the option to adjust the window size to your liking. You can simply hit the escape key and find the Zoom button on the top left corner of your GoToWebinar viewer. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters, so please feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters here in the questions panel, and we will address them at the end of the session today. Also, to get the best out of today's webinar, we've included the slides, courses we've talked about, and marketing assets in the handout section of your GoToWebinar viewer. And you can refer to them to get a better understanding of the topic. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass the time over to Yatharth to present today's topic. You should be able to share your screen now. Welcome. You're muted still.
Thank you so much, Lila. No, I was trying to share my screen. Thank you so much. And I hope my screen is visible, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh, perfect. So welcome, everyone. As Leila introduced the topics, we'll be talking about power of AI with Microsoft Azure. This discussion will be encompassing what we'll be what AI is and what ML means. These are like buzzwords, but what they actually mean in a cloud context, and how Microsoft actually approaches them as well, right? So let's get on with this. Now, we'll start with introduction to AI workloads and basic considerations, how it goes, fundamental principles of machine learning, how machine learning is different from AI, and how we implement it on Azure, what things are available in Azure to be able to leverage them. basic understanding of features for computer vision, what's NLP, natural language processing, and conversational AI workloads, and how they work on Azure. So basic purpose or the basic theme of this webinar, I would say, is going to be AI and ML, but with context of Microsoft Azure. And then I'll go over one of the exam details that we have AI 900, and then we'll have a small Q&A session. So awesome. Let's get started with this. What is AI? This is kind of a buzz term nowadays. What AI might be, and people have their own several different definitions of what AI might mean or has meant for a lot of years. Simply put, AI is basically a software that would imitate human behaviors and capabilities. Uh, to put it simply, so if you're trying to simulate human intelligence and capabilities by means of a computer software, that software could be that software could be as large as something of an operating system, or could be as small as a small logic application within a cloud platform. Size does not matter for that, or size or complexity does not matter in that situation. It would still be AI. We'll get into it and we'll understand what that might mean. There are several different types of AI that you can get into. Machine learning is one of them. Machine learning and AI are not different, but machine learning is more of a subcategory of AI. So machine learning is often the foundation of an AI system. It's here we where where a system is taught to draw conclusions and predict from a certain data, right? Certain data set. If you do not have any data, you can't make any predictions. You can't definitely make any conclusions out of it. So data being in the center of it all, and we'll talk more about this one as well. Next is anomaly discussion. Capability to detect errors, and error detection system could be used in context of security, could be used in context of manufacturing, could be used in context of quality control. Anomaly detection can be automated as well and can be a part of AI. Computer vision, when we talk about a system which visually would interpret the world, which would visually interpret the environment that's around it, uh, you could use you may have seen like MATLAB models made from this, so that you can just draw conclusions of the roads, uh, draw more inference about the roads that your car is on, right? Something like that. So automated vehicles are big on computer vision, and not just that, security systems are big on computer vision, right? Facial detection software is there. Moving on, we have natural language processing. Capability of a system to be able to interpret, understand, comprehend any written or spoken language of any kind. Does not The accent does not matter, the way that you speak the language does not matter, the grammar does not matter. We would train the system in such a way where all of these natural things about all of these natural things about anybody's language or the way of speaking can be ignored, and the system can still understand all of these things. Then next is conversational AI. Might seem a little similar to natural language processing, but it's not. Conversational AI is different from speaking to a computer. It's basically having a conversation with it. Uh, so you may have seen things like chatbots. How do you create chatbots, and how do they respond based on your input? So that it might seem like you're actually talking to a real person, or you are talking to a person or a system that can actually provide you some help based on the input that you provide to it. So all of these are AI. AI does not mean that, hey, there would be a robot that's roaming around in Terminator verse. No, not really. AI can be all of these things. Now, how does machine learning work? Very simple, like we discussed on the last slide, right? So from your text messages to your photographs, to the videos that you take, to the sound bites that you record, all of this is data that can be used to train our model, right? Now, when we talk about data, what that might actually mean is that data would be something, some sort of stored information, right? That could be anything about the system that you're going to be performing machine learning on, right? Or deploying the training model on. And you would have several input methods for that. Uh, if you're talking about Twitter, that the data on Twitter can be an input model. If you're talking about cars or homes or public transport that you might have in the factories, there can be several hundred sensors telling a system how a machine is working or what metrics the machine is setting up right now so that we can monitor and health check it. All of these things would still fall under machine learning. When we aggregate such a large amount of data, create models on it, then train the model to make predictive decisions or predictive calls, that's what we call machine learning, right? So data scientists can use all of this data to train these machine learning models so that inferences and predictions can be made based on the relationship amongst these data sets that we have in our system. So no rocket science. It's just like how anything learns. A baby learns like this, right? So you don't just learn to pick up a language as a baby. You see people around you. You hear random words, random noises at first. Then they start to make sense. Then they start to make sense over the period of 2, 3, 4 years. Now there are two major differences here. The compute is much larger than, well, a child's brain, and the data, the amount of information that has to be processed is huge, and the time that it takes to process that information is significantly less. So that's where machine learning comes in. So in context of Microsoft Azure, where does machine learning stand? When we talk about Microsoft Azure, it's been one of the oldest cloud platforms, right? It's one of the big three: AWS, Google Cloud Platform, and Azure. Uh, what Microsoft does with it is they have something called as Azure Machine Learning, which is a platform for you to perform all your AI training, predictions, validations, and retraining models actually, right? So I'll just get into that as well, right? So anytime you are going to be setting up a machine learning model, first thing you will do is that you will train that model. You have created that model, now you will train it, right? Once the training has been done for the model, once you have gathered enough information about that these inputs would cause certain outputs, you would package the data and validate it that's whether that meets the acceptance criteria or not, if you understand that. So we are going to be validating our models, and once you validate it, you would deploy that as an application, a web application or some other sort of a function application. That can be mostly web application, by the way. And then once you deploy it, you monitor it. So this basically is that you started with the data and what you can do with inputs and outputs, and finally you get to a point where you have a major application. Now you don't stop there. You don't just create an application and sit. Not really. You're still gathering data. You're still trying to reiterate this process, retrain your model, repackage it, revalidate it, redeploy it so that it's a very well sorted system, right? That's what we are trying to do here. And in order to do this, Microsoft Azure provides you a lot of stuff that's built into that comes out of the box with machine learning in Microsoft Azure, right? So one of those things would be that this would enable non-experts to quickly create any effective machine learning model from data. You might have certain amount of data. You want to create machine learning models. You can use something called as auto ML, right? Auto ML is we don't really call it automated machine learning, we just call it auto ML in that situation, and it will enable you to create to test random algorithms against your data to make a great model actually. Next is the designer. Designer is a graphic interface. If you do not know how to code, you do not know Python, you do not know R, no need to worry, you don't have to learn it. If you learn it, that would be more convenient, but that's not a basic limiting factor or a prerequisite for you to start learning or implementing machine learning. So you can always use Learning Designer for that. It's a graphical interface enabling no code development of machine learning solutions. Now, you can create notebooks in R and Python and create pipelines to deliver end-to-end solutions in case of ML in Azure, or as we call it, Azure ML, right? So you can use pipelines, you can integrate it with DevOps, you can integrate it with your CI/CD pipelines, and you can write your code in Python and are pretty common, fairly common and fairly uh, popular languages, right? That you can use for the notebooks right here. Excuse me. So certain services in Microsoft Azure that we will be talking about, one of them would be Vision, right? Vision would be just like we talked about, it would give you a computer vision. Uh, it would give you an ability to use images and videos to gather data from them, right? So one of those services is called computer vision. So you can use this service to be able to analyze image and video and be able to extract things like text, things like objects, what that object might mean, things like tags, what this place is, things like descriptions, what is happening in this picture. All that information can be extracted from by using this tool called, or the service rather, called computer vision. Next is custom vision, where you would train your custom image classification model by multiple images. You would enter the images into it. You want to create a model that can identify cats for you. You will feed it images of cats, every once in a while a dog as well, right? So that it learns to differentiate what kind of, first, yeah, we are looking at something that is standing on four legs, right? It's not a table. It because it has a head, it might be an animal. Then what kind of animal it might be, so that your model can sit. Now this is a very rudimentary basic example. You can uh, extrapolate this to do major things with your data. Well, and not limited to like identifying counterfeit transactions on a particular bank server. It's again several usages of a very simple service, right? Next is facial recognition. You can uh, you can create facial detection models and facial recognition solutions for security by using this one. And yeah, you may have noticed this feature that has really recently entered into the iOS realm, is that you can still use your facial detection while you have your mask on, right? How do you think that would be one of the examples of this, a similar service to this, right? Form recognizer would give you the exact information about the exact forms or invoices, or what they are, right? So basically like an application to scan a check or something like that. After that, we have something called as a conversational AI. What's conversational AI? Like I told you before, things like chatbots, uh, things like a system where you put the input and it has you put the input and you get the output that you desire. You want to get the information as fast as possible. Um, you may want to connect to a person for every once in a while. Hey, I want to talk to customer support, but why do you want to talk to customer support in the first place? Is that sometimes you don't trust that, hey, I don't think the chatbot would be able to help me because my concern is very quote unquote customized. Chatbots do exactly that, right? So we enter and we train those bots with all the use cases and fringe cases, so that no matter how customized or how different your query might be from a regular FAQ, it can still answer that, or it can lead you to a place where you can get the answer, or lead you to a person if it can't answer that, right? So it adds a layer in the chain of communication, but it removes a lot of complexities because you do not have to wait for a customer care representative to be actually. So it's infinitely scalable, basically. I do not have to, as a company owner, I do not have to hire, let's say, 1,000 people to be able to help 1,000 customers at one point of time. So it's infinitely scalable as well. Conversational AI would also include your home automation and personal devices like Siri, like Alexa, or like Google Home. So all of these things would be a part of conversational AI as well, right? Not just a chat box. Now, with everything, there are certain pros and certain cons, right? There are certain cons and there are certain risks that are there with AI. Now, the thing is, it's risk is not end of the world. Risk is not that it's going to turn into Matrix and robots have taken control over the world. That's not the risk I'm talking about. I'm talking about the more real and more palpable risks that you can see right now, or you can see more in an everyday life right now, right? Certain times your data or the data that you train somebody with might lead them to form a bias. You may have a bias about certain things, right? It could be a simple thing. It's like you would say that, hey, hockey is the best sport in the world. Turns out that all your life you were trained you were watching three sports. You were watching like soccer, hockey, and maybe boxing, and you liked hockey the best, so you think hockey is the best sport in the world. But sometimes there's no way to tell, right? Or sometimes maybe you do not have enough information to be able to make the call that something is the best. Simple example, right? But biases with data can affect results. One of the example would be a loan approval model may start to discriminate by gender if you feed it too many profiles or too much data with a single gender, right? So you want to keep your data sets as diverse as possible, right? Errors may cause harm. When we say a thing is automated, when we say a service is automated, we expect it to be, we expect the results to be very predictable, right? We do not want any outliers. It's great. Like if my automated car is going to detect a stop sign, I wanted to detect 100% of the stop signs. It can't be 99%. I don't want to run a stop sign or a signal for that matter, or a person for that matter. Errors can be a major problem. Now, I took like the most dangerous error case that you can take. For smaller cases, there can be errors in the system uh, that can get compounded with every iteration. It's like the weather predictive models, right? You would see that on your apps like AccuWeather and Apple Weather. You would see that they can predict weather really nicely and really accurately for the next 3 days. But after 4 days, 5 days, 10 days, or 15 days, the predictions are not that great. You know why? Because every time there is certain error in the data in the predictive model, and as far you go on that predictive model, the error starts to get compounded exponentially. So you do not want those errors to get compounded. Your data could be exposed. Your diagnostic models in a medical system might give out the PII or the kind of disease a person might have. That's not great. Solutions may not work for everyone. Everything is not for everyone. There is no one solution that would fix it all, that would do everything for you. It's not really a possibility. Everyone has different problems. Different problems require different solutions. So a home solution that might be great for a person with excuse me for a person that might need that might be visually impaired. They might need a home system that works solely on audio and no visual cues. You would need that. But if it doesn't have that audio thing in it or audio feature in it, it's useless for a person like that, right? So it's just an example, right? It can vary from person to person, right? Users must be able to trust a complex system, right? AI based financial tools making financial recommendations, great. Do you trust them? If you do, yes, that's great. If a model is great, the model has performed well in the past, of course you'll trust them, right? If it doesn't, or if you don't trust them, you are not going to go with that system. And who is liable for AI driven decisions, right? Who is going to be answerable if something goes wrong? So we really need to find out that, or we really need to decide who is uh, answerable, or who is going to have the responsibility for a certain program to malfunction. And we want to keep those malfunctions to a bare minimum. Okay, moving on, there's an exam that's related to this course, to this webinar, and I'll get to that in my next slides, right? So just give me one moment. I'll share another set of slides with you, and just give me a moment here. Leila, is my slide visible?
It is.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, the next step, we've discussed what AI might mean, or it might mean in context of Microsoft Azure. Uh, Now, the next thing would be what to do with this information. How can you, what exams can you take, and how can this benefit you? Uh, So Azure training journey for data and AI pros. If you have worked with data before, if you have worked with Microsoft data on Microsoft Azure before, DP300 is a great starting point for you. If you have been a DBA in the past, great. If you have not been a DBA in the past, but you have a basic understanding of databases on Azure, this is something that you can start with. And moving on, you can go into DP203 or DP100. I'll just get to those in a second, right? Before you get into all these associate level exams, as we call them, or intermediate level certifications, as we call them, uh, you must be very comfortable with the basics. It's not really a prerequisite for you to be able to do these basic exams, but it helps. It really helps in the comprehension part of it, right? So you can always take Azure Fundamentals AZ900 basic exam, right? Really focuses on the basics of Microsoft Azure and the fundamentals of cloud computing, not just the basics of Microsoft Azure. Uh, Goes into next is DP900. Okay, you know the basics of Azure, great. Do you know the basics of databases in Azure? Now, these are not related. You can just straight away start with DP900. Databases in Azure, how Azure SQL works, what managed instances are, simple basic stuff, right? Even a little bit of Cosmos DB and AI in this one as well. Next is, if you are an AI enthusiast, um, of course you are, because you are attending this webinar after all. So this would be a great certification training / exam for you to take. AI 900 focuses on basics of AI and ML and AI and ML on Microsoft Azure. Really simple stuff, really, really interesting stuff. It's a very simple training too. Uh, One great thing about all these three exams is that once you take them, once you pass them, you never have to take them throughout your life, never expire. Infinite validity of these exams. So keep that in mind, right? These are really, really interesting. If you want to go a little deeper into it, DP300 is a good one if you're a DBA. Uh, if you want to go, more into data engineering side of the things, right? Not just administration. I want to go into deep dive into engineering. 203 is a great exam, DP203 Data Engineer Associate. If you're interested in data science, which you might be, because this is a course that would go flow nicely into data engineering or data science as well, then DP100 is a thing that you can do as well. PL 300 is a good Power BI data analyst course. If you are a data engineer, it's a good course to do next, right? So these are good trainings to have. For Microsoft certifications, you would know that Microsoft certifications are broken down into three parts now. It's kind of hard to track sometimes. There are exactly 20 Azure certifications, not even mentioning Office 365 and a Windows Server and stuff like that. Not really, just Azure. So many trainings. So feel free to get in touch with somebody from Netcom so that they can explain you which trainings might be the best for you, right? So certifications are broken down into three parts: fundamentals, associate, and expert. These are role-based certifications. These never expire. They expire in about a year and a half. These expire in about 2 years, expert ones. And what do you do when they expire? Next slide, right? And there are certain specialty certifications as well, like IoT developer, AZ networking, and stuff like that. So all these courses are taught by Microsoft certified trainers with real world use cases, right? And you will get 365 days to your recordings of any instructor led training. So that's not bad at all, right? Uh, and you can do free repeats as well if you like. What are the benefits of getting these certifications? You know the benefits of getting certified if you're working in IT, right? So um, you get greater recognition of your skills due to validation. Now they know that Microsoft has validated you on your skills. You are certified. Then, of course, it is it's a good starting point in a conversation, in an interview. Sometimes it's even a minimum requirement to apply for a job, right? So that's really, really important. 23% of Microsoft certified technologists earn up to 20% more. So on these slides, you will also find certain, excuse me. On these slides, you will also find certain, excuse me, certain links that you can go ahead and check these sources out at, right? Now, let the data speak. For this webinar, you would also receive a free book, a free ebook, so you can just check this out, and it's a really interesting one as well, right? So how training improves timeliness, insights, and business impact, and uh, what are the advantages of getting trained or getting your teams trained rather, right? So well-trained and certified teams are almost 20% more productive than other staff, right? So that's a good thing to know usually. So some facts about the certification renewals: your certifications have expired after 1 year if it's an associate, 2 years if it's an expert one. What to do: you do not have to retest. Earlier you had to go ahead, book the exam again, get recertified, and do the cycle again every 1 year, 2 year. Now that's not the case. You can maintain your Microsoft certification with a continuous learning mindset and keep it at no cost, because 6 months before your certification expires, 180 days before, Microsoft will drop you an email: hey dude, your certification is expiring, do you want to renew it? If yes, then you can validate your skills by going to their websites, taking a couple of self-paced learning classes. Not really the classes, even sometimes like they can be learn.microsoft courses. And yeah, you have to take a very small test, not a certification, a very small test, right? That can have 10 to 20 questions, and boom, you're recertified for 2 years, for 1 year, whatever the certificate is, right? So to renew your certification, pass the associated assessment on Microsoft Learn before your certification expires, and you can take multiple chances at that. Even if you fail, that's okay. You can take another chance at that. So do not miss this opportunity to renew any of the certifications that you might have gotten even right now. Renew them. They're really, really important to renew. So let's get certified and trained. And that was it for me. So thank you so much, guys. Over to Layla.
Thank you so much. We're actually going to get to a question and answer session in just a moment here. But before we do, I want to give the presentation rights over to Sagnik. He's our vendor manager. He's going to introduce some of our promotions and webinar related courses. Actually, I'm not. Oh, there he is. I was like, I don't see him. I don't know how I didn't see him. Okay. Sagnik. No, that was.
Hi, Leela.
Hi, I accidentally made someone else the presenter. Goodness gracious. You should be able to present your screen. There was another
Great.
S on there, and I clicked the other S name.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Don't worry. So is my screen visible?
It is.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Leela. It has been a long day, and the session was insightful. Thank you for that. I would just take a few moments of our participants to take everyone quickly through some of the resources that we have collated together that we find would be adding value to the skilling journeys that everyone is interested in. So first up, you would be getting this webinar handout as part of our presentation today. And this contains certain information that you might find valuable. First is a brief introduction about Netcom Learning. So we have been in the industry for over 23 years now, and we have served over 14,000 enterprise customers and trained 150,000 plus professionals. We are an authorized training partner with all the major vendors in the IT and business space all across the world. So some of the major names include Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, CompTIA, Axelos, PMI, Easy Council, you name it, we have accreditations with them. So you get the highest quality of training support from Netcom Learning. So we really support end-to-end upskilling requirements. You would find the recording link to today's session and this handout as well. So feel free to go through it in order to revise the topics that have been covered today. As part of the learning experience, we are providing all the participants today free access to our Netcom 365 portal. It is a real gold mine of valuable resources and assets to support and empower you in your skilling journey. So feel free to log in, activate your accounts, and explore. You'd find multiple webinars, assessments, and other resources in here. Feel free to explore the courses across vendors. We really believe you would find this really helpful. Some of the latest offers that we have currently, if you are interested in security, for Microsoft, we have a very special promotion going on, valid till the 30th of June 2022, wherein with the official VILT course, you are going to get a free exam voucher as well as a practice test. Now, it cannot be more emphasized the value of skilling and the validation that you receive through a certification. It is the official seal of approval directly from the vendor itself, Microsoft. So feel free to explore these courses. It is applicable across the entire Microsoft security portfolio. That includes SC 900, SC 200, 300, 400, AC 500, and MS 500. All the links are here. Feel free to explore these and take advantage of this promotion while you have the chance. Apart from security, if you are exploring and you're trying to really figure out what specific skilling requirements you have, maybe beyond specific product lines, right? So the entire Microsoft training portfolio is covered under our Microsoft skilling program. So we are talking about Azure, security, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Power Platform. So really end-to-end upskilling requirements can be met through one single solution, and it really provides uncomparable advantages especially when it comes to team upskilling or enterprise upskilling. So if you are a business owner, if you have a team, if you're managing a team and you are aware that your team needs to be upskilled, multiple members of your team needs training across a variety of products, feel free to explore our Microsoft skilling program. The starting process is really simple and it is free of cost. You can schedule a call with our learning consultants and they would discuss your specific needs and assess your requirements, and based on your specific objectives and expectations, an optimized Microsoft skilling plan would be developed and deployed. And you would get exclusive benefits like you can save up to 80% on the pricing. There we provide easy enrollment, so you get personalized microsites that can be deployed within your organizations for easy enrollment of your employees, and you get the full features of Netcom 365, and it really provides a 360-degree upskilling experience. Some facts about certifications have been mentioned here once again, things that have already been covered by our instructor. And the link to the Win-Win of Certification ebook has been provided here. Feel free to go through this and you would be getting real-world evidence on the ROI of investing in certifications, both from an employee as well as employer perspective. We have a Netcomplex Subscription that really is a great tool if you are looking for an individual learner subscription. So it is only applicable for individuals. What you get as part of this offering is for $2,999 per learner per year, you get unlimited access to 500 plus official training courses, including 60 courses from Microsoft itself. So it comprises multiple vendors beyond Microsoft like AWS, Cisco, and all the other vendors that we have as part of our portfolio. You get 12-month access, and it gives you that flexibility of continuing your skilling journey throughout the year. If you're looking for something which is more focused towards the skilling requirements of your entire team, Learning Passport is the solution that is going to certainly take your training efforts to the next level. It is a flexible team training package, so that means it is not linked or locked to a specific learner, as in the case of Netcom Plus. It is a shared fund value that you invest and you maximize it by up to 100%. So it is a prepaid fund that can be redeemable over 4,000 plus official courses all across our entire vendor portfolio of Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, all the way through EC Council, PMI, and it is again valid for 12 months. So feel free to explore this if you are an enterprise looking to upskill your employees. Last but not least, we have the recommended learning path for the data and AI professionals as recommended by Microsoft. So all the courses have been linked here. The certifications have been mapped. Feel free to explore these. And once again, once you enroll with Netcom Learning, you get access to virtual labs for 180 days, along with 365-day access to the class recordings, which really is an unbeatable value when it comes to the learner experience. Also, feel free to explore and check out our upcoming master classes. Today's session was a webinar. Our masterclass sessions are also free of cost, but these are more extensive, typically 2 hours or more. We have a session coming up on Microsoft 365 and security. Feel free to explore and enroll for those. Before I hand over, just our website, www.netcomlearning.com. Feel free to come here, explore the entire portfolio that we have, specifically on Microsoft. Please feel free to go here and explore the courses that match your needs. So we have the entire catalog present here, apps under apps and infra, under data and AI. Today's topic, you can go to Azure and you can explore all the courses that are related to today's topic of discussion. Lastly, we also have promotions going on from time to time. So feel free to explore our promotion section on the website. And especially for the teams that are looking to upskill multiple members, feel free to explore our free private group training sessions on Microsoft Dynamics 365, Power Platform, and Teams. Feel free to go through these offerings. These can be customized as per your team's specific needs. These are free of cost to our private group training sessions. So with that, I'd like to welcome you all to the Netcom Learning community, and feel free to go through all our resources and get in touch with us, and we can guide you in your skilling journey. Thank you so much. Right back to you, Lisa.
Thank you so much. We are actually, we got about 2 minutes before Yatharth has to get off. He's got other requirements on his time. So if you do have a question, we're going to try to answer them as quickly as possible. We'll get to our very first one right away. What is the difference between AI and ML?
Thanks, Leah. Like we discussed before, the difference is very simple. AI is a simulation of any human intelligence and capabilities by a computer software. You just create a simulation. ML is kind of a subset to it. They're not really something that you can put a difference between. But yeah, ML is kind of a subcategory of AI, so that a system or a model can draw conclusions and predict from the data. Yes.
Thank you. You got time for one more question?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Do I need to know programming to take this course?
Interesting. Depends upon the context. If we are talking about fundamental courses like AI 900, then not really. Even without the knowledge of programming, like programming languages like Python or R, you can still work with Azure ML platform and still create machine learning platforms, still understand the concepts, still be able to understand the business aspect of it. May not be able to go into details of creating models and stuff like that. So it would be a good learning experience for associate and expert level courses. That would help a lot, but for basic courses, absolutely not.
Thank you. And I know we're out of time with you today, even though we could take so much more of your time because you have so much knowledge to give us. We want to thank you really quick for joining us. We're going to go ahead and launch a quick poll to find out how many people might be interested in some further training.
Thank you.
In addition to today's webinar, we have a lot of informative webinars coming up. So please go to www.netcomlearning.com/webinars/ to register for any of those. We want to thank you all for joining us today. If you do come up with any additional questions, please feel free to send them to us at webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. And we hope that you found today's webinar to be very informative. We look forward to seeing you back here with us very soon. Also, feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us and have a wonderful day.